ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to our Tuesday and Thursday sessions on Vaishnav Ninda. In the last Tuesday class, we quite elaborately discussed the three classifications of Vaishnavism according to the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu: Vaishnava, Vaishnavatara, and Vaishnava Tama. So just to have a quick recap of the whole flow of thought which is happening. In Vaishnav Ninda, Bhaktivinoda Thakur first discusses about offense which a living entity can commit, and among all the kinds of offense, the grievous one is the Vaishnav Ninda. So we need to know what Vaishnav Ninda is, what actually constitutes aparadh. So he discusses this verse from the Skanda Puran, Nindam Kurvanti, and what are the six kinds of aparadhs? Hanti, Nindanti, Dveshti, Na Abhinandyanti, Krodati, and Na Harsham. So these are the six kinds of Vaishnava aparadh, and that is why understanding this, we should not commit. So he goes to the discussion of different categories of jiva and what should be the conduct of our devotees. So first there is Sadharan Jeev, Dharmik Jeev, Brahman or Pray Vaishnav, and Vaishnavas. So we should respect, appropriate respect should be given to all these four kinds of living beings. For the Sadharan Jeev, we should give respect because Krishna resides in their heart. For the Dharmik Jeev, special respect should be given. For the Brahmanas, we should honor them. And for the Vaishnavas, we should render service. So this is how we should give respect according to their levels. Not ordinary human being, dharmic jeev, Brahmana, and Vaishnavas. Now he goes on to further discuss that if we don't honor this first three category, there is pap, and if we don't honor or disrespect Vaishnavas, there is aparad. And the difference between pap and aparad, pap is to do with the subtle body and the gross body, but aparad affects the soul. So aparad pertains to the soul. So that is why there should be special care taken regarding aparad. And especially we Vaishnavas who are in the society of Vaishnavas, we should have special care about this. So now, having discussed this, he goes to the discussion of Vaishnavas then. There are these three types of Vaishnavas according to Bhagavatam, Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. And then he defines from the Bhagavatam the Kanishta definition. And then he goes on to discuss the Madhyama Vaishnavas. We discussed quite in detail that these Kanishta Vaishnavas have what? Paramparik Shraddha or Laukik Shraddha. It is not Shastri Shraddha. And that is why they don't respect Vaishnavas, they are not friendly with Vaishnavas, and they don't show compassion to all living beings by preaching. So this is Paramparik Shraddha or what is called as Laukik Shraddha. Whereas, the Shastri Shraddha is we hear from the sadhus and practice bhajan kriya, and automatically we go to the next stage, that is the Madhyama Adhikari. So we saw this difference between Shastri Shraddha and Laukik Shraddha. This I've added, Laukik Shraddha, there is no sadhu sang, no bhajan kriya, or even if they do bhajan kriya, it is without reference to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Whereas Shastriya Shraddha, we will hear from the sadhus, perform bhajan kriya, immediately from Kanishta we'll go to Madhyama. So this is what he says. As soon as Shastriya Shraddha comes up, he becomes a Madhyamadhikari. And then we saw what is the Uttama Adhikari. The Madhyamadhikari and then the Uttamadhikari. So this last Tuesday we had quite elaborate discussion on these three Adhikaris based on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And also here is a chart which I did not show last Tuesday. See, these classifications are there in the Bhagavatam. The Kanishta, Madhyam and the Uttam, these are terminologies, and these different terminologies are used in different contexts. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also there is this Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttam. And those who are candidates who are entering the Bhakti school, those who are qualified to practice Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So that is the application point of view. And the classification basis is based on faith and Shastric logic. Faith in the scriptures and how good they are in understanding the Shastras. Shastra Yukti. The NOI definition, Krishneti Yasya Manasadri, Krishneti Yasya Giri Manasadri Eta, that is the Madhyamadhikari is dealing with Vaishnavas and people in general, that application, and it is based on respect and loving exchanges. The Srimad Bhagavat definition of Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama is based on vision. So what are the vision of three kinds of Vaishnavas within the Vaishnava society? So we saw how this Bhagavat angle of seeing Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttama, the Kanishta has a very narrow vision. I and my deity, nothing else. He doesn't see others. He doesn't see that even Lord Krishna resides in the heart of his devotees and I should develop friendship with them. Whereas the Madhyam vision is a little broader and he has this four kinds of loving exchange with four kinds of people. That love, what he has for the Lord, prema, for Ishwar, it manifests as friendship with devotees, tad adineshu. And that same love what he has for the Lord manifest as Kripa to the Balishu. The same love what he has for the Supreme Lord manifest as Upeksha, or to become indifferent to those who are envious. So that is how the Srimad Bhagavatam Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama is being classified. Now the CC definition, twice in the CC this discussion is there. Again, the CC Sanatan Shiksha is actually Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. So they are similar to Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, faith and Shastric logic. But there is another discussion in the Chaitanya Charitamrit with the Kulina Gramvasis. And this is based on taking the holy name. How the Grahastas or anyone, Madhyamadhikaris, Vaishnavas, dealing and serving Vaishnavas and people in general. So this is based on this. This is the application, and the classification basis is on based on the taking of the holy name. So today, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to go now further and again analyze Vaishnavas as Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama based on Chaitanya Charitamrit. So now this is the next theme which we are going to discuss today. Three classifications of Vaishnavas according to the teachings of Sriman Mahaprabhu: Vaishnava, Vaishnavatara and Vaishnavatama. Now this is going to be a very interesting discussion, and devotees will have, I feel, a lot of questions regarding it. So kindly hold on. If you have questions, we will take up the questions, but let me finish the discussion and kindly hear very, very attentively. This session is going to be really important for us to understand very fine aspects of Vaishnav theology. So kindly be attentive and kindly hear every point which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making. ये तीन प्रकार वैष्णव के महाप्रभु ए रूपे अमादिके दिया चिन्ह तथा ए स्थले विचार. Now I will now analyze. Vichar means analyze how Mahaprabhu has distinguished. Mahaprabhu e rupe amadake diyachin. These three levels of Vaishnavas for our sake. 18 prakar. So these three kinds of Vaishnavas, let me analyze how Mahaprabhu has analyzed them. So this is how he begins. So this is the verse. Athaiva yanra mukhe eka Krishna nam Steite Vaishnava Kariha Tahar Samman. Therefore, he in whose mouth only in whose mouth one holy name of Krishna has appeared is the Vaishnava. Offer him respect. So according to Mahaprabhu, anyone once takes the name of Krishna, takes the holy name of Krishna, he is a Vaishnava. He is a Vaishnava, and we should give respect. Even the nectar of instruction also says so. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadri eta. Anyone who takes the name of Krishna, we should offer them respect by our mind. Krishna nama nirantara yahara vadane se Vaishnava shreshta bhajetara charane. He in whose mouth the holy name of Lord Krishna appears incessantly, Nirantar Yahara Vadane, Krishna Nam, is an excellent Vaishnava. Say Vaishnava Shresht. That means one is very, very dexterous in performing his bhajan. He is always with his beads chanting and reading and preaching the holy names. So he is referring to a Madhyamadhikari here. Worship his feet. Bhaja Tahara Charana. So this is the second Vaishnava which Mahaprabhu is describing. Now the third. Yahara Darshana Mukhe Asi Krishna Nam Tahara Jani Tumi Vaishnava Pradhan. You should know him, Tahara Jani, by seeing whom Yahara Darshane, the holy name of Krishna automatically awakens in one's mouth. Mukhya Asi Krishna Nam. to be the chief of the Vaishnavas, Vaishnav Pradhan. So this is referring to a Mahabhagavat. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur usually, tells him like a Vaishnava is like a Chintamani. He's like a touchstone. Anyone who comes in touch with him, he gets immediate, so much devotional spiritual credits that immediately he becomes a Vaishnava and starts taking the name of Krishna. So that is the purity of this Vaishnav Pradhan or the Mahabhagavats. So based on the holy name, Mahaprabhu has classified these three kinds of Vaishnavas. One who takes the name of the Krishna, he is a Vaishnava and you should respect him. One who takes Nirantar name, you should, serve his lotus feet, worship his lotus feet, bhaje tara charane. And the topmost Vaishnava is, just by his darshan, they take up the chanting of the holy name. That is his purity, that is his preaching. So he is a topmost of the Vaishnavas. So this is based on taking the holy name. The first one, he himself takes up the holy name. It's not that, he is inspired by seeing a Mahabhagavat. He himself takes the holy name. Whereas the third one, by coming in touch with the Mahabhagavat, his heart is infused with bhakti and he takes up the holy name. So that is the difference between the first and the third. The first and the third sometimes look very similar. Sometimes the mode of goodness is very similar to the mode of ignorance. So this very clear understanding we should have. Krame kari kahe Prabhu Vaishnava Lakshan, Vaishnava Vaishnavatar Ara Vaishnavatama. Dividing by grades, Krame Kari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the symptoms of Vaishnavas as ordinary Vaishnavas. Prabhu kahe Vaishnava Lakshan. Lakshan means symptoms. Ordinary Vaishnava, the positive platform. The better Vaishnava, the comparative platform. Ara Vaishnavatama, the best Vaishnava, the superlative platform. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 15, 16 and chapters, this discussion is there. So this is with the Kulina Gram Vasis. Satyaraj Khan, on behalf of the Kulina Vasis, had asked, we are Grahastas, what is our dharma? So chant the holy names and do Vaishnav Seva. That was the answer. How do we recognize who are Vaishnavas? So that time Mahaprabhu first had told, anyone who takes the name of Krishna, he is a Vaishnava. Next year they asked the question, that time he had told that one who does Nirantar Bhajan, he is a Vaishnava. The third year when they asked the same question, that time he had told he is Vaishnav Pradhan. So 3 years he gave 3 different answers and all the answers are correct, but all the answers are progressively on a higher and higher level. So this is positive platform, comparative platform and the superlative platform. The 3 kinds of Vaishnavas based on taking of the holy name. Now let us carefully try to understand what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. Shriman Mahaprabhura Upadesha Krishna Nam Uchcharan Matre Vaishnavatava. In the teachings of Sriman Mahaprabhu, mere utterance of Krishna's holy name is the characteristic of a Vaishnava. Nam Uchcharan Matre Vaishnavatva. He becomes a Vaishnava if he just takes the holy name. So that's why if you see, I made the classification is based on taking the holy name itself. So based on just Nam Uchcharan, they are classified as Vaishnavas. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's classification basis. कनिष्ठ श्रेणीर मध्ये याहार वैष्णव प्राय अर्थात वैष्णव आभास बोलिया दर्शिते हयाचेन ताहार नामभास्र मात्र उच्चारण करेन नाम उच्चारण करेन ना. Now they also take the holy name, the Kanishtas, but what kind of name? Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going into a deeper analysis. Kanishta Shreniyar Madhe, on the Kanish platform, Yahara Vaishnav Pray, those who have been shown to be almost Vaishnavas, अर्थात वैष्णव आभास. वैष्णव आभास means they are just almost Vaishnavas. बलियाचे दर्शित हयनाचे, that it has been shown what tahar namabas matra uchcharan. What is that being said? That is reflection of Vaishnavas utter only a reflection of the holy name. They don't chant the holy name, they chant only the abhas. Abhas means reflection. नामाभास मात्र उच्चारण करे ना, नाम उच्चारण करे ना. They do not utter the holy name. They utter the reflection of the holy name and they don't utter the holy name. Now let us try to understand what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking here, and these few slides, kindly hear attentively, and then if you have questions we will take up definitely. एक बार शुद्ध नाम उच्चारण करिते पारेन तिनी शुद्ध वैष्णव. These Vaishnavas who have been mentioned here, Kanishta, they don't chant the name, they chant the reflection of the holy name. But here, he who can utter the pure holy name once, any एक बार शुद्ध नाम उच्चारण करिते पारेन तिनी शुद्ध वैष्णव. If he chants the pure holy name once, he is a pure Vaishnava. He who utters the pure name uninterruptedly is a better Vaishnava. Oh, sorry, this should have come in the next translation. Somewhere while doing the slide, there is some mistake, I think. So if they chant once, they are pure Vaishnavas. Now in the next line, that should have come here. Any say Shuddha Naam Nirantar Uchcharan Kane Tini Vaishnav Tara. So that is here actually. He who utters. Okay, I will, I don't like to usually, I will just change it here only. Yeah. So, he who utters Shuddha Naam, यही से शुद्ध नाम निरंतर उच्चारण करे, who always continuously chants Tini Vaishnava Tara, is a better Vaishnava. This is the Madhyam Vaishnava. यहाँ के देखिला मुके कृष्ण नाम आसी Tini Vaishnavatama. He, by merely seeing whom Krishna's holy name appears in one's mouth, is the best Vaishnava. So now the criteria is given a little higher. The Kanishta, if he utters the holy name once, he's a pure Vaishnava. Once. Otherwise, he's always chanting what? Namabas. He's not chanting the Shuddha Nam. And the Madhyama utters the Shuddha Nam, pure holy name, uninterruptedly. He is a better Vaishnava. And the Vaishnav Pradhan or Vaishnavatama is what? Just by seeing him, others chant the holy name. So this is now a deeper and a higher level of understanding Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving now. Now let us see this footnote and please try to understand, and devotees, please try to reflect this whole discussion, what is there in the footnote, with our own lives, and try to understand and try to get some lessons. This is an Uttam Vaishnava. That is the last one. Huh? He who by merely seeing whom Krishna's holy name appears in one's mouth is the best Vaishnava. So this is a Uttam Vaishnava. He is a Uttam Vaishnava. In an article entitled Vaishnav Seva, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has clarified the above thus. So this clarification he has given, that one Shuddha name, once he takes, he is a pure Vaishnava. One who takes the pure holy name uninterruptedly, he is a Madhyama. And one who just by seeing others take holy name, he is a Vaishnavatama. So that is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said. And he has clarified this matter in this article. Let us see, what is it? एकते कृष्ण नाम लय वैष्णव पदवी प्राप्त होय. If one chants the holy name of Krishna, he attains the Vaishnava platform. He's a Vaishnava if he chants once. So this is the first thing we need to know. Say Nam ki rupataha charitamrita likyachen. What kind of holy name that is written in Chaitanya Charitamrita? So what kind of holy name he takes is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. एक नाम भाष्य तुम्हारा पाप दोष यावे आर नाम होते कृष्ण चरण पावे. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita is mentioned, begin chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and when your chanting is almost pure, all your sinful reactions will go away. एक नाम भाष तुम्हारा पाप दोष यावे आर नाम होते कृष्ण चरण पावे. After you chant perfectly, after the by chanting nama bhasha, all the papa is destroyed. Then you start taking the name. What will happen? You will attain the lotus feet of Krishna. After you chant perfectly, you will get shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So this is Mahaprabhu speaking to, I think, Subodhi Rai. This pastime is there in the Madhya Lila chapter 25. এই স্থলে ভুজিতে হবে যতদিন নাম অপরাধ আছে ততদিন নাম হয় না, কেবল নামাবাস হয়. Now, dear devotees, please try to understand what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. It should be understood এই স্থলে ভুজিতে হবে in this context, as long as there are offenses in the holy names. যতদিন নাম অপরাধ আছে, one does not chant the holy names. ততদিন নাম হয় না, কেবল নামাবাস হয়. One is merely chanting the reflection of the holy names. So as long as one is chanting in the namaprad stage, he is not chanting the nam. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. So to give an example, for us to understand this, we know that if somebody has a pistol and he puts in bullets and he shoots, it has the effect. The person is going to die, whomever he shoots. But children also sometimes play, toys, and they have these machine guns and they load in the bullets, and they also aim and they shoot, and the parents like to play with the children and they say, oh, I'm dead, and he also feels happy, I've shot. But actually, do the bullets have the strength to kill the person? These are fake bullets. Similarly, the holy names, when they are chanted at the Namaprad stage, Yatadina Namapradache, Tatadina Nama Hoina. It is not, he does not chant the holy names. He only chants Namabas. Kevala Namabas Hoy. One is merely chanting the reflection of the holy names. Namabasira Fale Papa Sakala Shoy Hoy. As a result of chanting of the reflection of the holy names, what happens? Sakala Papa Shaya. All sinful reactions are destroyed. Papa Shaya Hoila Chitta Nirmala Hoy. When sinful reactions are destroyed, the mind becomes spotless. So, when we are just chanting the mere reflection of the holy name and not the holy name, it has effect in the form of Sakala Papa Shai. All the sinful reactions are destroyed. And when all the sinful reactions are destroyed in the heart, Chitta, the heart becomes pure. Papa Shai Hoila, Chitta Nirmala Hoy. The Chitta becomes pure. Later on, what happens? Chitta Nirmala Hoila, Nama Prad Avasara Paina. When the mind becomes spotless, there is no opportunity to commit offenses unto the holy name. Namaprada avasara na paile, niraprada nama hoye. When one has no opportunity to commit offenses to the holy names, one chants the holy names without offenses. Niraparada kadachit nama hoilo tini Vaishnava. Now he comes to the understanding of who is a Vaishnava. Even when one occasionally chants the holy name without offenses, he is a Vaishnava. So we all have experience, when we went to the dham, or we, had beautiful darshan of the deities and we were chanting, and suddenly that one Hare Krishna, when we chanted in the holy dham, or whatever experience any devotee has, we find that completely different. That one name which you took, or that one mala which we did. So occasionally when we chant without offenses, he is a Vaishnava. That is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. Sei rupe nirantar namaloy, Vaishnava tarahoy. When he chants the holy names without offenses uninterruptedly, he is a better Vaishnava. So what happens to us now actually as devotees? This I am speaking from the conditioned state, and especially for I'm speaking about myself. I don't know about others. That very rarely we chant the holy name without offenses. Otherwise, it is most of the time Namaprad chanting. And if we also chant, without offenses, but in the association of devotees, if our heart has become purified, in the association of devotees, we commit Vaishnava Aparadh, then from Namabhasya, we again come back to Namaparad chanting. So this we should be very, very careful. Very, very careful we should be. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning who is a better Vaishnava, who chants without offenses uninterruptedly. Somebody who occasionally, even once he chants without offenses, he's a pure Vaishnava, and now he's gradating him as Vaishnava. But one who chants without offenses uninterruptedly, he's a better Vaishnava. Aladini Shakti Uday Hoy, Vaishnava Hoy. When the pleasure potency of the Lord is manifested, he is the best Vaishnava. So the Ladini Shakti, or the Alhadini Shakti, is the spiritual potency of the Lord. The Lord has these Chit Shakti, which is divided into Sandhini, Samvit, and Ladini Shakti. So the Ladini Shakti is the pleasure potency of the Lord, and the personification form is Srimati Radharani. At the stage of Asakti, when one enters into the stage of Bhava, this Ladini Shakti descends from the spiritual world and enters the heart of the sadhaka, and that spiritual potency is called as the Ladini Shakti. By this Shakti only, this is sometimes also called as the Bhakti Shakti, because it is a combination of Ladini Shakti and the Samvit potency. Samvit potency is the knowledge potency of the Lord. Whatever Bhakti knowledge we are getting every day, reading Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, so we are coming in touch with the Samvit Shakti of the Lord, Samvit potency. And slowly, slowly, the Samvit potency, as we get knowledge and practice devotion, with the knowledge, we start experiencing little pleasure, happiness, and the tapatraya, the three distresses, slowly come down. At the highest stage, when the Samvit potency is, fully manifested in one sense, the Ladini potency also enters the heart, and together what forms is the Bhakti Shakti. So he is now endowed with the pleasure potency of the Lord. This happens at the stage of Bhava, and he is the best Vaishnava. So my point here was to focus here. And if you see in the previous verses, what kind of holy name, as long as there are offenses in the holy name, he does not chant the holy name, but only a reflection of the holy name. And by chanting the reflection of the holy name, what happens? Only the papa is destroyed, papa shaya. And papa, when it is shaya, the heart becomes slowly nirmal. But With that also what happens is within the assembly or association of devotees, we commit offenses also. So that is why we should be extremely careful not to commit offenses while we are chanting and in our dealings with Vaishnavas. Because here it was mentioned when the chitta becomes pure and then he can chant, there is no, chance of committing offenses when the chitta has become pure. And then he will start, chanting the Shuddha Nam. So then he has explained He has explained who is a Vaishnava when who occasionally chants the name without offenses, when you uninterruptedly chants, he's a better Vaishnava, and when the pleasure potency manifests, he is the best of the Vaishnavas. So these is the analysis of who is a Vaishnava based on what kind of holy name they take. Okay, so now let us see, is there any other further discussion? Okay, so I will show you this chart and then I will take up the questions. Okay, now please see this chart. Different types of chanting. Namaprad, there's no good knowledge that they think that the name is material and they don't realize that Krishna and the name they are non-different, but they think they are different. So with Namaprad, there is no much progress. In the Namabha stage, all the impurities, Sakala Papa Shay, and the ignorance is gone. So in the Namabha stage also, the progress is slow. But when you take the Shuddha Nam, so the knowledge, now we got this knowledge from this discussion. One Shuddha Nam, if you take, he's a Vaishnava. One who takes Nirantar Shuddha Nam, he's a Vaishnava Tara. And one who takes one whose heart Ladini Shakti has entered, he's Vaishnava Tama. So the Shuddha Nam, when we take, we quickly progress and attain Prema. So these are the different types of chanting based on this Namapran, Namabhasya and Shuddha Nam. Now further, let us see what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said. One who chants purely once, he is good. And he is explained as what? Vaishnava. One who chants purely constantly, he is better, Vaishnavatara. One who inspires others to chant purely is the best, Vaishnava Tama. So this is only with respect to Shuddha Nam. Only with respect to Shuddha Nam. So this is the whole discussion what is happening with, these three types of Vaishnavas as per Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's analysis. So let me take up any questions anyone has. So there is one question here. Even if offensive, one should continue to chant holy names more, right, Prabhuji? Oh, so there is a question by Prashant Prabhu. Even if it is offensive, one should continue to chant the holy names? Yes. One should continue to chant the holy name because by chanting the holy name, even in Namaprad stage, what is happening is slowly, it is a mere reflection of the name. Slowly the sins are getting eradicated. The heart is becoming purified. But one should be careful not to commit offenses. If we can avoid, so then quickly by mere reflection, the heart will get purified and you will start chanting, the pure name once, or sometimes you might chant the pure name once. And that one name you have chanted was simply out of the world, you feel. So then with purity again, you start chanting the pure name uninterruptedly. Then there is no question of committing Vaishnava Aparadh. You're conscious that the holy name is not different from Krishna, so you will never not commit Vaishnava Aparadh. And then you will advance to, where the Ladini Shakti enters and you're able to, inspire others to chant purely the name of Krishna. So this is the gradation. Yes, Namaprad stage, we have to go through Namaprad stage, come to Namabhas and then Shuddha Nam. But how long we want to be in Napamrit stage, it is up to us. We have to be careful. That's why we should get this Sambandha Gyan of this holy name. That is why it is so important. Any other questions anyone has? Any questions? Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji. 1 second.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for such a elaborate work to enlighten all of us. It's very inspiring to know all this, Prabhu. And Prabhu, as you mentioned, there are various ways of defining three categories of devotees as per different scriptures and acharyas. So, can we consider that what definition given by Lord Chaitanya we should adopt, because that is the most safest way to deal with devotees?
Okay. Okay, let me first rephrase your question. So the question is that these different classifications of Vaishnavas are there, and can we say that what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's analysis is, we adopt that, and in dealing with Vaishnavas? No, not really. We should adopt all the definitions. See, all these definitions have applications. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu definition has its application in the beginning stages of bhakti. Definitely, no doubt about it. The NOI definition is based on how we should, develop our love to Krishna by having loving exchanges with Vaishnavas. So we need to identify who's a Kanishta, who's a Madhyam, and who's a Uttam, so that we can reciprocate along accordingly. The Bhagavad is based on the vision, and now CC, which we discussed now, is based on taking the holy name. So all these different classifications have specific purpose. And it's not that we only take up this and leave all others. No, all have a specific purpose. And, this different types of classifications gives a very broad understanding about, what is Vaishnavism and what is actually Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttama. And sometimes we need to see from the, when we are preaching, and, we are especially preaching to students, and two students are taking up to Krishna consciousness. So we can see that time from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu angle. Oh, how good is he in Shastric logic and how strong is his faith? So they are entering into the Bhakti school. So that time you will have to use the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu angle or the Sanatan Shiksha angle. And when it comes to vision, we'll have to use the Bhagavad angle. But when it comes to the holy name, then we'll have to use the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's angle. So these are all like different types of lenses through which we see Vaishnavas. And we should not think that Arey, how well now I've seen a Vaishnava. I start analyzing, should I see him from Bhagavad vision or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu vision or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's vision? I analyze and then I will deal. No, it all happens spontaneously and naturally it happens. I give the example of these cameras have concentric lens. The zoom cameras, when you press the button, many concentric lens come in the front, and then you can focus and actually take nice pictures. So there are many concentric lens, and all are in cohesion, and they fit in one another, and you can have a better vision and a better picture. Similarly, it's not that there are clashes between all these different types of analysis, the Bhagavad vision and the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu angle and the CC angle. No, they all fit like one concentric lens, and it naturally and spontaneously happens from which angle we should see. It is a matter of gaining knowledge and proper understanding by studying systematically what we are discussing now. Is it okay and satisfactory to you, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji?
Oh, absolutely, Prabhu. More than expected. Yeah, the example of lens was perfectly, because as you said, there is no, countering of each other definition of who Vaishnava is.
Yes. Okay. So any other questions anyone has? Okay, there is a Vriddhi. How can we avoid the anger that may arise in our heart towards Vaishnava or indeed any human? Krodha. Krodha is basically a vega, as in the Updeshamrita is mentioned, Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivva vegam, udarapasta vegam, etan vegan yo vishet, sarvam api mam prithvim sashishat. So anger is basically an emotion. It is an emotion and it has to do with the mind. So the best thing, especially not to become angry at Vaishnavas, because that is like, it is it's going to be disastrous. So we need to analyze anger and we have to reflect. So reflection helps us to understand and introspect and see our emotions. And that's why sometimes writing them down, why did I feel like this? What is the reason? Maybe uh, in my previous interaction, something he told me and that was there in my heart, that that feeling was there and now it is manifesting. So that must be the reason. So this kind of introspection and analysis about what emotions we are going through, this kind of analysis helps us and to deal with our emotions. So there are these principles, express, suppress, and one more I don't recollect. You can express this emotion by becoming angry, and then you lose a lot for that, because when you become angry, all your energy is drained. And suppress, if you suppress it, what will happen? It will what? It will go deeper and it will pile up and suddenly it will one day burst up. But you have to, the word is process. You need to process the emotion. So how do you process the emotion? By proper reflection and analysis. And this requires some introspection and writing down. So when you write down and see, internally you cannot see yourself in the mind, but when you write down and read it, oh, this is the reason, then, oh, it is not good. So then I'll have to work on it. You need to process these emotions, and especially when anger immediately comes in the mind, best is to control it. And sometimes some techniques we can use, like if you start, in fact anger is an emotion and the breathing goes very high when one is angry, that. So best is to control your breath. By controlling your breath, the mind calms down and the intelligence comes back to functioning. And that time we can discriminate and take a proper decision. So this is what we can do sometimes when anger comes. Best is to control that wave and then reflect by not suppressing it or not expressing it, but by processing it. Is it okay, Mataji? Vriddhi Mataji, is it okay? Now there's one more question. Please don't type any comments on the chat box except asking questions, or if you want to speak about the audio, something is wrong. Otherwise, my flow of thought gets interrupted while discussing. So kindly avoid typing anything on the chat box except questions, or if the audio is not working. There was one question, Keshav Kishore Prabhuji.
Prabhu, that was by mistake. Actually, I wanted to tell the word process, but somebody else told. That's fine, Prabhuji, no problem. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions regarding this discussion we had? Any other questions you have? I want to really understand Could you please give some examples of symptoms of taking Shuddhanam? Now, as far as I understand, every devotee who is come in Krishna consciousness, maybe in the beginning of his initial days in Krishna consciousness, or when he first came in touch with the Dham, when he first time went for a yatra, we all remember that experience of the first yatra to Vrindavan or Mayapur or Jagannath Puri, or we came in touch with the pure devotees and heard their katha, the kind of, feeling which was completely a different experience not of this world. So this kind of experience we all had, and we all have some experience that when we are chanting, it's a regular chanting, which is a mechanical chanting. I'm speaking about myself again. But suddenly one name you take and you feel it is out of this world. My goodness. So this kind of it's just like a glimpse of what is the Shuddhanam. So to give you an example, here is in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaya Sparsheshu Asaktatma Vindati Atmani Yat Sukam Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma Sukam Akshayam Ashnute. This is fifth chapter, it's speaking about a jnani, but from the conclusion of the Gita, when we see everything is in harmony. So let us see from the chanting perspective this verse. Bhaya Sparsha Asaktatma. He's completely cut off from the external, sense pleasures. He's fully detached. Vindati Atmani Sukam. He's taking pleasure within the self. So for the devotee, he's taking pleasure in chanting. Yat Sukam Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. He's connected to the holy name. Here Brahma refers to the Brahman aspect of the absolute truth for the Gyanis. But now he's connected to the holy name. Sukam, happiness. Akshayam Ashnute. And he feels what? Akshaya. Akshaya means, the Akshaya Patra, unlimited happiness. So that one mala or that one holy name or that one round when you chanted, the pleasure you felt was what? Akshayam Ashnute. So that is just a glimpse or a symptom of what is the Shuddhanam. What is the Shuddhanam? Just like sometimes you touch electricity wire where electricity is flowing, you touch it and immediately you feel the current. Similarly, when you touch the pure holy name, it touches the pure chitta, the ucharan, and immediately there is such an ecstasy which you have never experienced in your life. That one name you have chanted. So that is what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaking here in his discussion. I hope this is satisfactory to you, the answer. Okay, there's a question. Continuous chanting of holy name, is it possible? Now, when one is in the Namaprad stage, because, the Papa Shaya has not happened because of lot of anarthas, and the chanting is what? Nama Bhasya. It is not Nama. So that is why continuous chanting is not possible there in the Namaprad stage. But when one is, chanting the Shuddhanam continuously, that is the Madhyama stage, and the Chitta is Nirmal, then he's got so much taste in chanting the holy name that he can continuously chant. So this is one of the symptoms of a Madhyamadikari, that he has taste for chanting the holy name. Because only a Madhyamadikari realizes that the holy name is non-different from Krishna, and he is experiencing that. So in the Madhyam stage, it is possible to chant continuously. It is possible. Namaprad stage is a very long stage. That's why we should avoid offenses, having proper knowledge, and quickly take up to Shuddhanam. So we saw that in the chart. how this Shuddha Nam, once we take, we are a Vaishnava. If we are able to take regularly, constantly, then we are better Vaishnavas, and one who inspires others to chant purely is the best Vaishnava. So we should focus on this. This is our goal. If we are in the Namaprad stage where we we don't realize that the holy name is not different from Krishna. We don't have that Sambandh Gyan. And then we are chanting. So that is why we don't experience a taste. So that's why the progress is slow. So that is how we can understand. Any other questions regarding up till now what we discussed? So there is another subtopic with respect to what we discussed now, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to discuss this now next. स्थले आरो द्रष्टव्य ये शुद्ध वैष्णव হয় বারে জানে दीक्षा आदिर अपेक्षा नाय. There is another item to be noted in this regard. Drishtavya. Drishta means another drishtanta or another angle we have to see. There is no need for Diksha and so on in order to become a pure Vaishnava. Shuddha Vaishnava hoy bare jane Diksha adir apeksha nahin. There is no need of a Diksha. Now we need to understand what this is, and I think today we will not be able to go into the details because we'll have to go and discuss Chaitanya Charitamrita to understand this. Vaishnava pray hoy bar jana अर्चेत हरि पूजा पायोगी मंत्र ग्रहण के दीक्षा बोले. What is Diksha? Diksha bole means what is Diksha? The acceptance of mantras. Mantra grahana ke, useful for the worship of Lord Hari in his deity form. Jana archata Hari puja upayogi mantra. In order to become one, in his deity form, in order to become one who is almost a Vaishnav is called Diksha. Vaishnav Pray Hoiber. So one who is, accepts the mantras, for deity worship. He's almost a Vaishnava, and this is called as Diksha. So Diksha, understanding, the clear scriptural understanding of Diksha is what? Diksha means Mantra Diksha. And Mantra Diksha means second initiation, what is called in ISKCON as second initiation. And this second initiation is for what? Required for deity worship. So here is the note. This Diksha is what is referred to within ISKCON as Gayatri Diksha. This is not Harinam Diksha introduced by Srila Prabhupada within ISKCON. It is only Srila Prabhupada who introduced this Harinam Diksha, and then the first initiation and second initiation, what we call generally the terms. But actually the terms are Harinam Diksha and Gayatri Diksha or Mantra Diksha it is called. First initiation and second initiation. So for Harinam, to become a pure Vaishnava, there is no need of this Diksha. Which is that Diksha? This Gayatri Diksha. But this Gayatri Diksha is required for what? Hari Puja. Se Diksha Nama Tattva Anavashake. That Diksha is unnecessary to attain realization of the truth of the holy name. Gayatri Diksha is not necessary in order to attain pure chanting of the holy Krishna's holy name. Krishna's holy name is beyond the Gayatri mantra. So you can see the Gayatri as one circle, and a bigger circle is what? The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So, there is no need of Gayatri Diksha for chanting pure name. So this is a very important note Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining. And now he is going to go and establish this again from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yatha Prabhu Vakya. The Lord's statement in this regard are as follows. So now whatever he has spoken here, he is giving a praman again from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Babu kahe Yandra muke shune ek bar, Krishna nama puja se Shrestha sabakar. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Prabhu kahe, he from whose mouth I hear the holy name of Lord Krishna once, Yandra muke shune ek bar Krishna is worshipable and the best of all human beings. Pujya se Shrestha sabakar. So we should respect such a person because he is a Vaishnava, because he has taken the name of Krishna. He is worshipable and he is the best among all the human beings. Among all the human beings, he is best because he is taking the name of Krishna. That is how we should see him. Ek Krishna naam kare sarva papashay navida bhakti purna nama hoite hoy. Now this is the most bewildering statement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ek Krishna naam, only one holy name of Krishna, kare sarva papashaya, can destroy all sinful reactions. The 9 processes of devotional service are complete simply by chanting the holy name. Navvida bhakti purna nama hoite hoy. So naam is so important. Just by naam, all becomes complete. The all Navvida bhakti becomes complete. Now, what is this that one name you take and all the papa is shaya? We'll look into it when we refer the Chaitanya Charitamrita purports. What is that one name? We'll have to look into it. When first time I started reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I was surprised. I have taken Krishna's name, but still I'm feeling I'm very sinful. Why has the pap not gone? So what is that name? What kind of holy name that is? Prabhupada explains in his purports. We will look into it very soon. Diksha Purascharya Vidhi Apeksha na kare Jivva Sparshe a Chandala Sabhara Udhare. This is Mahaprabhu speaking. One does not have to undergo initiation or execute the activities required before initiation. Diksha means initiation, and Purascharya means, there are Purva karmas. Before initiation, there are some activities to be performed. That also is not required. One simply has to vibrate the holy name with his lips. Jivva Sparshe, thus even a man in the lowest class can be delivered. Achandale Sabhe Udhare. That is the potency of the holy name, that even a Chandal can be delivered and one need not undergo any initiation to take the name. Diksha is not required. And what is Diksha? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has clarified in his previous discussion. It is the second initiation. Anusanga Phala Kare Samsara Shaya Chitta Akarshaya Kare Krishna Prema Udaya. As a simultaneous result, it annihilates one's entanglement in the material world. What is the phala? That samsara shaya attracts one's thoughts, chitta akarshaya, and causes transcendental love for Krishna to be aroused. Krishna prema udaya. Atravaya yaramuke eka Krishna nam sei Vaishnav kari tara parama samman. So this person who has taken one name, how further he advances and his heart gets purified, he gets love of Godhead. That is why we don't know who is going to first take up to chanting and immediately attain love of Godhead. That is why Kara Samman. Therefore, he in whose mouth one holy name of Krishna has appeared is a Vaishnava. I offer him great respect. So this is Mahaprabhu telling to Subudhi Rai. Now, with this context, I would like to refer now the Chaitanya Charitamrita verses, what Mahaprabhu has spoken in this context, but that is a very long discussion. It will take one entire class to discuss, because it is extremely important what Mahaprabhu is saying in that in this discussion with Subudhi Rai, and also what Prabhupada is saying about the whole process of this verse. This verse is very important. Diksha Purascharya. So that all discussion is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 15th chapter, verses 106 to 109. But till now, what we have discussed, do you have any questions? Any questions regarding what we have discussed till now? Any questions? Any clarifications? Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Oh, it is once again you have presented here. I had previously also had noticed this regarding the Harinam chanting and initiation. As you mentioned, the initiation which is talked is about the second initiation as per ISKCON's present system. But in the Bhagavatam also I read somewhere Prabhupada's purports that until unless one is been initiated, his activities in devotional service are cannot be considered as devotional.
Yes,
So-
I'm aware about it. I'm aware about it. When we go into the purports of these verses, everything will become clear. What exactly the verse is speaking and what Prabhupada is going to explain in his purports, that will become clear. So kindly hold on, I'm aware about that discussion which is there in the Bhagavatam 11th canto, right? It's there in
So
11th.
some glimpses you can give so that we can be some way pacified about what Prabhupada wanted to tell.
No, we'll have to, study those 4 verses which now Bhaktivinoda Thakur has spoken. Na? Each of the verses we'll have to study them, and I will take up now. Maybe we have just only 7 minutes left,
Okay,
and
Prabhu, fine.
I don't want to take it halfway
Fine, Prabhu, thank you.
because it will require one class, and it is worth it to understand these things. So, let us hold on. Sometimes patience pays.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions, any clarifications you have? So we will wind up today because it's just only 6 minutes left, because I want to discuss those 4 verses of the Chaitanya Charitamrita which Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quoted, and the explanation of Prabhupada, which will be very important for us. But uh, only one reflection what we can have now here is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has spoken, that when we chant mere reflection of the holy name, it is not the holy name. Nama nahi hoy. It is just a mere reflection. This is one important reflection we should think about. Secondly, by this type of chanting, Papa will become Shaya. The Papa, when it becomes Shaya, then Chitta will become pure, and then you can take Shuddhanam. So if you take that Shuddhanam once, you're a Vaishnava. That means rarely, sometimes one name we take and it is ecstasy we experience. So that was one experience we had. But what happens is, why we are not able to experience that ecstasy all the time is, the reason is that being in the association of Vaishnavas, subtly we commit offenses. And those offenses are the 10 offenses itself. And especially the offense of not respecting the Vaishnavas. Certainly, there is some offense at the subtle level which is committed, which we are not conscious about. But if we become conscious and follow this, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, to respect the Vaishnavas according to their levels, then, with that continuous chanting of Shuddhanam, the heart will be purified, and then we can incessantly chant the holy names and then go to Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam chanting is at the stage of Bhava or Prema, where the Ladini Shakti is there. So this we need to be aware and avoid Vaishnava Aparadh. Avoid Vaishnava Aparadh in the form of disrespecting the Vaishnavas. And His Holiness Gaur Govind Maharaj has written on Shuddhanam. Actually, it is his lectures which are transcribed in the form of a book. And many years back, I read it. And amazing point he makes, which never struck me and never I could understand what he was saying. But he said that actually initial first days of our Krishna consciousness, it's as good as, we are like pure devotees. Everything we see, all our Vaishnavas, they're all pure devotees. We see them like that. And we take up a little bit chanting and, we feel we are out of this world. This is something different experience. So from Namapa stage, we come down to Namaprad stage. Then we start discriminating, all not Vaishnavas are on the same level. So we come to that Namaprad stage, and this Namaprad stage goes on for a long time in our spiritual life. So how to cross this Namaprad stage is the most important, crucial matter which we have to discuss and study and understand. And this Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving some insights now here in his discussion, that when we take up to this Nama, Papa is becoming Shaya, but when we commit Vaishnava Aparadh, what happens? We go back to Namaprad stage and we are not able to further progress in taking Shuddhanam. So we need to avoid that, so that from that one name, Shuddhanam, we can take continuously, incessantly Shuddhanam, so that we come to the Madhyama stage and then to the Uttama stage, Vaishnavatara. So that is a point for us for meditation and reflection, which we need to understand. Yes, Mataji, you have one question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. A general question, like many times so happen that while doing some seva or something, it so happen that we get hurt because of some devotee, some maybe some misunderstanding or whatever, and then we start maintaining a distance from that devotee. We give all respect whenever we encounter that devotee. We give all the respect, but internally, like we try to maintain a distance. So, like I would like you to speak something on this, whether this is a aparadh or like what it is. Is it right? Is it wrong? Like, I hope
Okay.
I'm able
Yeah,
to express
yeah,
my
yes,
question.
yes, definitely. Yeah, this is one area which we need to work on, that, to advance in Krishna consciousness, we have to be in the association of devotees and serve Krishna and keep Krishna in the center. But there will be difference of opinion, or while doing some sevas, some things go wrong. And, you know, devotees, sometimes might speak something which might hurt us. And sometimes we need to think that maybe something I must have done wrong, or it is my own karma that it has happened like this. And I should continue with my service. But if it is a regular thing which is happening, and we have been targeted, at that point, one should distance oneself, maintain a healthy relationship of respect, and one should continue with their devotional services. Actually, this is the test for us, in the association of devotees. This is the test for us. We will be tested here. So, this is for us a test to advance in Krishna consciousness. So, this we should see it like this. And this is going to be a real internal challenge. It's only Krishna, we don't know how Krishna will use other devotees as instrumental in order to purify us. So we should see from a very positive vision, positive angle, things which happen in the association of Vaishnavas, and reflect deeply upon it, and we should, work like that. So that is the best way we should do, is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's yeah.
Okay. Any other questions anyone has? Okay, it's right 8:15, so we will stop here. And next Tuesday, we will be taking those 4 verses Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quoted and going into the detailed explanation of what Prabhupada has to say about it to have a very clear understanding of this discussion, what is being discussed in the Vaishnava Minda. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what he is saying, we will get a still clearer understanding when we go into the Bhaktivedanta purports and try to understand it. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai. Hare Krishna.